Hello everyone, this is Viren and welcome to the fantasy match preview for the all-important third test match between England and New Zealand. Now before I get to the preview, remember to join the Fantasy Crick Pro channel for all the final teams and updates, and this preview is powered by Nostra Pro. So this is my team combination for today. I'm going with 2 keepers, 4 batters, 1 all-rounder and 4 bowlers, some sort of wacky combination but I'll explain the details to you in the next section. So first up, the keepers and the batters. 2 keepers that I'll go with: Johnny Bairstow and Tom Blundell, both of whom have looked in really good touch and contributed actively for their team, especially Bairstow. He's coming off that heist of a game, so you can expect him to be very high on that momentum and adrenaline. Then you look at the 4 batters: Kane Williamson and Oli Pope to start off, both technically very sound. Kane Williamson coming back after that COVID issue, and the other 2 batters, Devon Conway and Joe Root. Devon Conway, my vice captain; Joe Root, my captain. Both have looked in excellent touch with the bat. And yes, there is some uncertainty in terms of who's going to play or not, so you should check the final playing 11. For now, these are my keepers and batters. Then we look at the all-rounders and the bowler section. The 1 all-rounder I'll go with, Daryl Mitchell, looked in decent touch. I think the issue here is that Ben Stokes will mostly not be available for the third test match. So you'll have to again look at the playing 11 and see and make that final call. For now, 1 all-rounder in Daryl Mitchell. Then we go towards the 4 bowlers, Trent Boult and Tim Southee coming in from New Zealand for sure. Both of them have looked really good with the ball and were able to take up the onus even in the absence of Kyle Jamieson, except for that last session, which was a totally freaky one. But I think both of them reliable and experienced. And the other 2 bowlers would be Stuart Broad and Matty Potts. Now again, not too sure about whether James Anderson will play or not, so assuming he will not, we have slotted in Matty Potts. But if we see that James Anderson is going to play, he'll come straight right back in. So this is my dream team for today. You too, go make your team now on the Nostra Pro app. Remember to use the code Fantasy Preview to get 100% cash back on your first deposit. And I'm going to reveal the final team on the Telegram channel Fantasy Crick Pro. All the good luck to you. And now we have the pick section where you answer a set of simple questions and get to win a lot of prizes. So let's see what questions are in store for this game for us. First one: how many aggregate wickets will be lost in the first session of day 1? Less than 3, 3 or more. England, it swings first up, so I think 3 or more. Will any player hit 7 or more 4s in the first session of day 1? So if we're not expecting someone to stick in there, then maybe not, so no for now. Will any batsman score 40 runs or more in the first session of day 1? Again, will be slightly tricky, as we've seen sort of 80-90 as the first session scores, and if someone is not sticking in, then having that 40 altogether would be tougher. But if you see it slightly flatter, then a yes, but for now no. Will any bowler concede 30 runs or more in the first session of day 1? Again, totally depends on the pitch, but assuming it's a green one, no for now. How many players will concede 15 or more runs in the first session of day 1? Maybe 2 to 3 is the best answer at the moment. Will any spinner pick a wicket in the first session of day 1? We generally don't see a spinner bowl itself in the first session of day 1 in most test matches, so no there. Will any player play 75 or more balls in the first session of day 1? Looks like we have a lot of no's in store because of the kind of pitches we see in England. But again, I'd mentioned there that if you see it's a flatter pitch, then many of these answers would turn into a yes. So you should ensure that you look at the final pitch. How many bowlers will bowl a maiden in the first session of day 1? Totally depends on how many bowl to, but I think 2 to 3 for now. How many batsmen will hit a 4 in the first session of day 1? I think that would be 4 or more, because if many batsmen come into bat, then it would be 4 or more. But I'm assuming that if you can say 3 or 4 batters are going to bat, and if a few of them hit boundaries, so 2 to 3 would be a safer choice. Will any bowler bowl 4 or more maidens in the first session of day 1? Slightly steep past that, and I think that's the sort of question where you'd want to use a no negative 2. For now I'm going to go yes, but slightly tricky. How many aggregate runs will be scored in the first session of day 1? Less than 75, 90 or more, 75 to 89. I think for now I'm going to go with 75 to 89. Will any bowler pick 2 or more wickets in the first session of day 1? So like you can see, a lot of the questions that depend on the pitch, so going with a yes, assuming that the pitch is going to be slightly greener, but you can make your final choices after finally looking at that track. So now let's look at what kind of boosters we want to use in this game, as like we know there are a few set of tricky questions that we have. So I think I'm going to go with the 2x on will any player hit 7 or more boundaries in the first session, that is a very steep ask. So I'm going to go with the 2x on the no, because I'm quite confident that it will not happen. And will any spinner pick a wicket in the first session of day 1 is also a 2x sort of question. While the no negative would be used on how many batsmen will hit a 4 in the first session of day 1. Rest apart from that, you can go select all your boosters, ensure you look at the toss, ensure you look at the pitch, and apart from that, I'll give you all the final visuals of the toss and the pitch on the Fantasy Crick Pro Telegram channel, and you can use the fantasy preview code to get 100% cash back on your first deposit. Go make all your picks right away.